We're on Instagram and all the others on one camera. Now, I will say this. It is still a vertical video, which means you're not going to get the full screen effect on Instagram, but you will get all the audio. Let's see here. I should have pressed this button for go live because apparently I wasn't live when I did that. I was in the preview window. Oh, that's not good. We're getting a loop back. Hang on. I don't actually want... I went early because I wanted to make sure. No, I don't want this in my ear. How do I make this not make noise? I don't want noise. I don't want audio coming out of here. This is horrible. Let's see. Okay, hang on a second. That's too funny. This is why I went early. I wanted to give myself an extra minute or so. It's 10 o'clock now, which means we're right on time. How can there not be a mute button for this? They don't do it. Every other platform does it, but they don't do it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Okay, we're going to send that audio. I think that I can't do it this way. I may have to end the live on that platform, not the other ones. Everywhere else you can stay. How do I fix this? Maybe I just close the window. That's what I'm doing. I'm closing the window. That's my workaround. Hopefully we haven't lost it. Maybe I can double check it that it's working live. Okay, I'm going to leave it open. I can watch it on my phone, and that works. Okay, I'll just have to log back in to turn it off. I think that works. Does it work? It works. If you're watching and trying to figure out what is going on, my name is Sean Shapiro, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day, even when I'm on vacation. I did a couple of radio spots, did some live streaming from a cruise ship in the Caribbean or Caribbean. Where would you prefer? Caribbean? Anyway, I say it both ways depending on the mood. I am happy to be home. I'm happy to be in my own bed. Amazingly, that is a big deal. No matter how badly I want to go on vacation, I'm always happy to come home. I'm also really happy to come back to Canadian driving because as much as I complained and regularly complain about the things that people do wrong on our roads, I saw some really wacky stuff while I was in Florida. And Florida... You have shocked me, friends. It was like being on a racetrack. I was being passed by vehicles that were going so far over the speed limit with no exhaust systems. I give them credit. There's a lot of work being done by police agencies there, and there's a lot of bad crashes too. But I'm very happy to be back with everything and everyone that's going on here. A couple of new things. I mentioned briefly that I got to get myself centered now because where's the center? Here's the center. Because Instagram only sees the center. I'm moving over. Time delay. It's vertical. It's a chop of the screen. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yes, we're on Instagram on camera. Oh, and I talked about the fact that Twitter is on camera. It's always been on camera. However, I should be able to see chat questions coming in through X today. Now, if you're watching and you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, let me put a different screen up so I can show you just what I'm talking about. See, we are currently broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, and it's all on one camera. And I should be able to see chat messages from everyone. And if anyone wants to try out that newfangled feature, go over to Twitter and try sending a comment, and we'll see if it actually works. Because, well, actually, I can do that. Let me do that. I'll do that from my own account because I have an account. Okay, I'll go over to Traffic Services. I'm going to hit this. Where can I hit a comment? I never use this. Hello. We're going to type in hello. Hello. And I have done that. And we'll see if it pops over on the other side. So if you're watching and you're having difficulty getting through, you're not being heard, whatever the case is, it shouldn't be an issue anymore. But let's say it is. You can always go to YouTube to find our page. It's youtube.trafficcop.ca. And, of course, trafficcop.ca is a great source of information. Why? Because it's mine. I'm biased. It's a great source of information for everything traffic, safety, traffic law, and, of course, our social media. We got greetings and salutations from our friend Akela, who I've not spoken to in a while. Why? Because I was on vacation for a couple weeks. But it's good to be back to see these regular greetings. We've got... he says, welcome back. And thank you very much for the welcome. Tim Shallow says, good morning, welcome back, thank you so much. Akela says, Merry Christmas and happy whatever you celebrate out there in traffic safety land. Thank you, and thank you for the, Hanukkah's now done. I was away during Hanukkah, and now that I'm back, I missed out on that opportunity, but we had messages go out on Twitter, so it's all good. Lots of other stuff. We've got Kwanzaa coming up, we've got Christmas coming up. What else is coming up? Any other holidays that are coming up that I may have missed? Let's see here. We've got comments, or at least some comments from Yogi Berra, or quotes, I should say. Kayla says, I can hear me on YouTube. Okay. Chase is back. What's going on? Instagram is very zoomed. Is that the new normal? For Instagram, it is suboptimal. But it is at least one camera. So yes, very zoomed, but one camera. It used to be a separate phone. Now I can ignore the phone. I'm very excited. Ryan wants to know why an OPP officer in Guelph attacked a journalist. Oh, I'd have to know what you're talking about. And I'm not with the OPP, so I have no idea both that it happened or any details about it happening, nor motivations or what. Yeah, just taking it at your word, what happened. Let's see here. I'm going too far. I'm out of sorts. What do I mean by that? Is I forgot to mention that we are going to talk about Vision Zero enforcement team, because I haven't done that in a while. And a reminder that today's show, if you didn't see the Twitter post about it, we have Deb Hutton meeting us at 10:35. She is sitting in for Jerry Agar on the Jerry Agar Show on News Talk 1010. We'll talk to their audience for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll be back to talk to you again. Very excited. Very excited. So many cool things. And I mean that really. It is always nice to connect to the radio. In fact, I think the last show before we went on vacation was with Jerry Agar, and then back to Jerry Agar Show connection. So cool. Today's the 21st of December, and Vision Zero enforcement team, which if you don't already know, is a dedicated group of officers who focus on changing driver behavior one ticket at a time. They do that by focusing on the big four. What are the big four? I'm glad you asked. They are speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and of course impaired driving. These are the activities, these driver choices that lead to serious injury and death, and well, they're completely unacceptable. In fact, collisions are unacceptable, especially the ones that lead to serious injury and death. Minor ones we get, it's going to happen. Minor fender bender, it is what it is. They're avoidable, but it is what it is. Major ones, that's because someone's speeding, driving aggressively, distracted, They're involved with behavior that's done by choice, and if they would just not engage in that behavior, not only would the roads be safer, but they'd be at less risk of being caught by one of the officers who today will be spending time in 13 Division and 53 Division, Yorkdale, Glen Park, Briar Hill, Wychwood, Oakwood, Vaughan, Lawrence Park, Yonge and Eglinton, Leaside. Neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. It's a thing. It's amazing. Traffic safety is a shared responsibility. Everybody has a part to play in it. Doesn't matter if you walk, ride, or drive. But the ones that are obviously in the big cages, that are traveling quickly and in distracted on their phones or choosing to speed, they're just making it unsafe for everybody. Yes, I'm putting a lot of responsibility on those drivers. Okay. What do we have here? We talked about Ryan. Okay. Aaron Grant just finished Depot. Love your channel. Thank you so much, Aaron. Appreciate it. And congratulations to finishing Depot. Depot, for those who don't know, is the training college for the RCMP. So have you graduated? Are you waiting for graduation? Either way, congratulations. Welcome to the family. Let's see here. Brandon. Speaking of Brandon, the NYPD have bulletproof glass and armor on their patrol cars. Do you think TPS should do the same? I don't know. I didn't know that NYPD did it. I know that LAPD did it. I don't know if NYPD did it. I think they have panels in their doors, but hey, listen, that's not my thing. But I did get your card. Brandon sent me a card, and he wrote, thanks for doing Ask a Traffic Cop. I watch on YouTube and learn a lot each day. Thanks to you and Sergeant Campbell and all the crew at Traffic Services for all that you do in keeping the streets safe. Stay safe. And I really do appreciate that. And it's the first Christmas card or holiday card that I've received from a member of the community. So I appreciate, I really appreciate that, and you. So in terms of, again, do we need it here? I don't know. It's a sad state when we do need it, if we do need it. But that will be decided by people above my pay grade. Emma, good morning. Welcome back, and welcome to having TikTok working, which hopefully will actually sustain through the entire show. Not useful but interesting, says or asks. Oh, good question. Do cops look at the speed data from the 407 and issue automatic speeding tickets? If not, why not? I think it's a great idea. It's totally something that technology could be used to measure. However, I don't believe it's being done. In fact, I know it's not being done. In Europe, and I talk about this all the time, I was in Europe in May, and they do have speed cameras that do instant radar enforcement or measurement instantly. You're over the speed limit, you get a ticket. And then there's also zones. So your time on entry and time of leaving that entry or that zone is then measured as an average. And if your average goes up above a certain threshold, you get a ticket. Now, is that the right way to do it? I certainly think it's a great way. And is the technology there? Yeah. Will the 407 do it as a private entity, providing that information? I don't think it'll happen, but who knows? I like it. I like it a lot. I like the idea. Anything that slows people down, makes the road safer is a good thing for me. Okay, good morning from your Brazilian fan who's watching again. Hello, Evandro. How are you doing? Evandro is in the process. I think it's safe to say. Am I allowed to say this? I think I can out you as someone who's in the process for the auxiliary program, which is awesome. And he is watching. And you may have caught that I've mentioned him before because he takes content or information learned from this channel and he makes content for the Portuguese and Spanish-speaking community. Let's see here. Kirk says, never been on 401 from London to Chatham fast. Not sure. I don't know what you're asking. Have I ever been on the 401 from London to Chatham? Not sure what we're talking about. Chase says, I'm so moving to X tomorrow if it works. I'm very interested. I've not seen an X comment, but then again, the X community has been excommunicated? No, they're under the impression they can't. So maybe we have to change the stigma if it works. So send a message. Somebody, I tried. I haven't gone that far back yet where it's still at 4 minutes after. What's going on here? We got Basharat Ali, who says, hello, sir. I'm a traffic warden from City Traffic Police, Punjab, Pakistan. I want to share information of road safety with you, the best interest of the people. Which channel can I use to keep in touch with you? You can certainly reach out to me on Facebook. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on any of the platform links, and I have all of those at trafficcop.ca, which is my link tree to all of my social media, so feel free to reach out there. You can also put a submission form for just a standard form that you can send me in a message at. How do you know if someone is driving high? Anaya wants to know. Anaya wants to know. I don't know why I was going to pronounce it that way. Don't know why, but I did. But I believe it's Anaya. And so there's a lot of different ways to see if someone is impaired. You know, if someone is truly impaired, there's a number of signs. Usually, depending on what they're on, it's going to change their driving habits. Their driving style, maybe, is a better way of putting it. But we make observations, and we also have the ability to test for certain things. There's lots of different ways. We have drug recognition experts, and if we believe someone is under the influence of drugs in particular, we can have them perform a roadside sobriety test or simply arrest them, and we could have them taken before a drug recognition expert who will have them perform a battery of tests, and based on their performance, make an evaluation. Let's see. What's this? Can I get a camera ticket on an out-of-province plate? Yes, you can. That was an easy one, right? Yep. Moving on. Akela says, now that you're back, I'll DM you something about the concert last week. I didn't want to interrupt vacation with work questions. Okay, let me know. I'm really curious which concert was, because I was in our Telegram group chatting about some things. I forgot which concert we were talking about, but he went to a concert and it was cool because I saw a picture. Anyway, moving on. What do we got here? Toronto Police Traffic Unit, how much do I get for ratting? What are we talking about? You're gonna rat out somebody for something? You want something for it? I don't know. I don't deal with CIs or anything like that, so I don't have any information for you. But you know what? If you want to report someone anonymously, you can always contact the fine folks. I was going to say it's 222 tips. It's Crime Stoppers. I was going to tell you the whole 1-800, but I think it's 1-800-222-TIPS, isn't it? No, I want to check. Crime Stoppers. It's 222-TIPS, but they have a 1-800. Is their website 1-800? No, it's just 222tips.com. Anyway, they have a local number. They have a thing. If you want to just be a good citizen, you want to report somebody who's doing something illegal, well, that would be the way to do it. Yes, indeed. Okay, closing this. What do we got next? What are you doing for the holidays? Doing anything special? I mean, I went away for 2 weeks before everybody else went away because I wanted to save some money on airfare and hotel and all that stuff, because if you go during the Christmas break, it's more expensive. But with people having their kids out of school and home with them, it's going to be a different Toronto, which means with people off, more people on the road potentially, and we want everybody to be safe. Also, I haven't been around. I haven't reported on impaired driving stats. And I am very curious. After the show, I'm going to record a couple of videos about the last 2 weeks in terms of arrests, because I'm curious. I'm sure you're curious about it too. So look out for that later today. I'll have a video or two comprising the last 2 weeks of arrests. That's what I do. On Fridays, I usually put out a video. Now we're 2 Fridays of missed content. I feel bad about it. Okay. What do I do if I can't afford to pay my tickets, but I need my license reinstated? Well, you're in a tough spot tomorrow. You have to pay your tickets to get reinstated, and if you drive without a license, you'd be eligible for more serious charges. So don't do that. Also, your insurance won't cover you if you're unlicensed. You could go to the courts. You could go and talk about a payment plan, but they probably won't give you your license back because you've gotten to the point of simply you've gotten to the point of simply not having your license valid. If you would have done that before they suspended you for non-payment, you could have worked out a payment plan. But that ship has sailed. You can certainly talk to the courts, but I don't think you're in a position that you can negotiate with them at this point. Talk to a legal representative. You might be able to get someone who could work on your behalf. I don't know what your true options are, which is why I'm suggesting get legal advice. Michael says, why did Toronto police not arrest a protester that threatened them at the Eaton Centre? It looks really bad on Toronto police as much as I like you guys. So clarification on that particular event. My understanding is that the threat was made against a member of the public, not a police officer, although it was in front of a police officer. And after discussions with that person, they chose not to lay charges. Otherwise, police would have laid charges. That is my understanding based on what I've seen in the media. I was, again, on vacation, but I do read that news thing while I'm away because I like to stay up to date. So, yeah, if it was a police officer threatened, I agree with you. Arrest should have been made instantaneously. However, it wasn't the case. Okay. Hey, someone from Alberta. Do you ever bring in guest officers from other provinces to answer questions? Absolutely, I do. Now, Brooks, Alberta, I have a friend who's a member out in Brooks and jumps in every once in a while, but he has a new little one at home and has been very busy. But I do want to get him back on and before the new year, so that would be like tomorrow or next week. So let me see if I can swing that, because if I can make that happen, I will most definitely do that because it's a good idea. And I actually have somebody like for Alberta. If I didn't have anybody for Alberta, I wouldn't be so excited about trying to make it happen. Let's see here. Quebec has special license plates for plug-in hybrid vehicles. Would those be acceptable in Ontario HOV lanes? By letter of law, I don't know. Would I accept one? I would. I imagine most officers would as well, because if they were green plates, they'd probably be acceptable. In terms of we'd easily be able to identify it as an accepted plate. Now, by rule, it says green plate and it says Ontario green plate, if I'm not mistaken. So if anything, it would be I'm stretching here. I'm guessing that it would be acceptable. But now let me break it down. Why do I think it would be acceptable? Like, we accept accessible permits from other provinces, so it's reasonable that the courtesy would be extended from other provinces for other things. AC Towing says, good morning. Good morning to you. We have Niners fan for life. Let's see what we got to say here. Can a G2 driver drive in the United States of America? USA. Yes, you can. A G2 driver has a full license. However, they have conditions, and you must maintain or follow those conditions while you're visiting the United States, which means you can have a zero blood alcohol content, or you must maintain a zero blood alcohol content. And if you are in the first year of driving as a G2, you have restrictions between midnight and 5 a.m. as to how many people you can have in your vehicle that aren't part of your immediate family. 1 under the age of 20 in the first 6 months, and 3 under the age of 20 in the second 6 months. So those are also conditions that the officer who's investigating you, if they're aware of it, could lay charges for. And that would be bad for you if you violated them, because, of course, those come with suspensions. How do I know? It's a violation of a condition of your license, which would come with a 30, 90, or you'd eventually get kicked out of the program if you violate them. Okay. Can you legally register a car if you win it in a race for pink slips? So if someone gives you a car, they gifted you a car, the engaging in the race is stunt driving, but if you were to do that in a place that it was legal, or just maybe you did a coin toss, maybe it wasn't a race, you did a coin toss, could you give someone a car for nothing? I think so. Could you register a car that you won? Well, if the person gave it to you and there's a bill of sale saying I gave it to them, or I charged them $1 or whatever the case may be, I don't see why you couldn't. Although that's a really great question for the Ministry of Transportation, but I don't see any reason from where I'm sitting. Yes, Emma was sitting. I had an officer from there. Okay. Ryan wants to know what we can. What is he? Let's see here. Ryan wants to know, why is this not? Here we go. What is the Toronto Police doing to stop protesters? I'm assuming you mean protesters. It's not a specific group. It's people who are protesting from impeding traffic. Well, if they're impeding traffic and they don't have a permit, I believe we can have them move along. But I've not been involved with that process, so I don't know what other steps to make sure that people are protesting lawfully. Rebecca says, good morning, officer, and good morning to you. Aaron Grant. Aaron has graduated and will be working in Nova Scotia. Aaron is the one who just recently graduated from Depot. And Nova Scotia, you should, are you from Nova Scotia, or are you going there for the first time? We have a friend in Nova Scotia who I don't see here right now, but he is a driving instructor in Nova Scotia. And let's see if we find him in the chat. Either way, we should connect you. If you don't know anybody in Nova Scotia and you're just waiting to get out there, we'll have to connect you to. The Metalhead says, "How are you this fine morning, sir?" I am doing great. I'm doing great. It's a little warm in my office, but I'm doing well. I have my water, which I appreciate. Water, good. And otherwise, yeah, it's almost Christmas. And it's my favorite time of the year. It's that time when people actively try and be kind to one another, I should say, which is really sad because we should actively try and be kind to each other all the time. But I like it that it's now, it's like we're in the spirit. So we're doing it with the motivation. We're motivated to be kind to one another. I just like it. I also like all the holiday music. Okay. Chase says, forget armored police vehicles. I want to see a TPS Cybertruck. Ideally, I want to see one too. And I've said it a long time, many times before. I have a deposit down, a reservation. I put $150 Canadian down on a Cybertruck like 5 years ago, and I would love to see that happen. Can I ask a question? Asks Gavin Wright. Gavin, you just did. That was your one question of the day. Come back tomorrow to ask again. No, you ask a question. That's what we're here for. Can I drive with a cracked windshield? Asks Amrit. It depends. If it's a minor crack and it's not interfering with your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle, doesn't obscure your view, then it really isn't a big deal. If it's a big crack that causes light and blindness or interference with your ability to see and drive safely, it's a problem. If it's a really large crack, it's a problem. You could be taken out of service for it. A chip is different, but small chips tend to grow into large cracks very quickly. Rebecca says, I'm from Kingston, Ontario. I know it's a different city. How much over do you stop people? How much over do you stop people over speed? It really depends. Depends on the speed limit of the area we're talking about, because I don't stop everybody for 1 kilometer over. I don't know anybody who does. However, it's all illegal. 1 kilometer and above is anything over the posted speed limit is illegal. The dollar amount is determined based on the speed. That's the same across the province. So at what speed? Well, if you're in a 30, I'd probably pull you over for 5 over. I'd definitely pull you over for 10 over. In a 60, I'm charging you at 15 over because that's 25% over the limit. It really depends. Now, why do I say 15 over the limit I'm charging you? Well, 10 over, I might give you a warning, but I'll still stop you and have a conversation. So it really depends. Not every interaction with police has to result in tickets. When it comes to traffic enforcement, some of it can be education. When you're speeding considerably over the posted speed limit, I think it deserves a ticket. And I would stop people. Again, residential area, slow speeds limit, it's there for a reason. If you're doing 10 over in a 30, you're going over considerably. 10 over is not, in a 30 zone, is not the same as 10 over in a 100 zone. Neither are illegal, but one is far more serious in my books. So I can't give you a straight answer as to how much over because it depends. Greg Berg, 822. Why is the 40-kilometer-an-hour law in school zones not enforced? It's crazy, the speeders, especially late parents. You're right. The biggest problem is, first of all, it is enforced. It's just not enforced every day, all the time, at every moment. That's why speed cameras, automated enforcement is so important and so good, because it can be where we aren't. And that's what most school zones have. They rotate around. They can't be everywhere. They don't have enough cameras to be everywhere. But maybe one day they will. And why, so the biggest, I think the answer to your question is truly that we can't be everywhere all the time. We don't have enough officers or cameras to be everywhere all the time. I'd love to see it happen where we could be. We have, hey, from Credit Card. Stephen Bell says, hi, good morning. Hello, how you doing? Friggin' Legion 69 says, can you install a 5-point harness in a 1950s car that has never had seatbelts? Is it legal? So oddly enough, if seatbelts aren't required, putting seatbelts in would then, it wouldn't be an issue, right? Like you don't have to have seatbelts in that car. Would you have to have? No, you wouldn't have to have them, even if you put them in. What I'm working through right now is, would installing it make you responsible to wear it? I don't think it would. A 5-point harness in a 50s car wouldn't necessarily make it, well, some belt is better than no belt, I think. But putting a 5-point harness into a car, in a new car, would be not the right answer. So I'm going to say you can. I would talk to a mechanic about whether or not it's really a good idea. And if your 50s car is classic, putting holes in it and new belts may be ruining its value, but I don't know. It's not really my department. Gavin says, what is this? Gavin wants to know about homeless persons or unhoused peoples. Why would police officers leave a homeless person who isn't moving after they touched them, don't move them, just left? So Gavin's asking a question for which I have no idea what you're talking about because I'm not aware of the situation. I don't know if you're talking about Toronto or another jurisdiction or any particular thing, but if you've got something for me to look at, send it to me. But I don't know why an officer does something because I am me and they are them, and I'm not involved with what they did or may have done. Let's see here. The Metalhead, Brazilians are fans of Toronto police. Interesting. Well, this particular Brazilian happens to live in the city of Toronto, I believe. At very least, he is applying to become a member of the Toronto Police as an auxiliary. So we have actually an international audience. Now, we're not talking about Evandro right now. I'm talking about the fact that we have police officers and people from around the world who watch this show both live and in reruns because we get shout-outs from everywhere all the time. But yeah, lots of people who come to visit, people who are about to come to Canada also want to get news and information. But yeah, good morning from Niagara Falls. Good morning to you. More water needed. Okay. Radix says, good morning and welcome back. Thanks so much. Now, I got to tell you, we've had a busy chat room. I'm at chat. It's 28 minutes after, which means in a few moments, we're going to be joined by our friends from News Talk 1010. And what's the point of my story? The point of my story is, what is my point? I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say, we're behind. We're behind. I'm going to work through all the questions I can. We're going to go long today. We'll have some extra time after the 11 o'clock hour because normally we do an hour, but when I have the time, I give you the time. So we'll go longer to try and get through some more questions. And thank you again, Radek, for the welcome back. Can a G2 driver drive in the USA? We talked about that, and the answer is yes, but you have to follow your conditions. Ocean View. Retail theft rising. Thieves don't even hide it. Do staff have the right to defend their product? I used to work in loss prevention. And, here's the question. Do you want to get hurt protecting stuff that's insured? And that's usually the question that stores have when it comes to liability. They would rather not have their employee hurt or killed. Worse, you don't know what's happening or what could happen to save a $50, $100, $1,000 item. They have insurance for this purpose. That's why a lot of stores are closing down in the States. They're shutting down stores in areas where there's high theft because they've just decided they're not going to service that community, where they're going to lock everything up under lock and key. It's really sad. People who choose to steal, I think it's gross, unacceptable. Never has it been acceptable, but it's really gross what's going on right now. And having just been in Florida, the Nike store had armed guards. It was police officers. They had hired police officers to do security detail in their store because they want to avoid that very thing. Let's see here. And Emma says exactly right. It's not worth it. It's what insurance is for. I agree. Your personal safety is far more important. Staff, especially regular staff, are not trained to deal with fighting and arresting and things. And you put yourself in a situation. I'd hate to see a day where somebody tries to prevent a theft, gets hurts the criminal, gets sued by the criminal, because crazy things have happened. Let's see here. Can officers see speed camera tickets when they run your plates? No, I don't believe that we can. Different system, not run by us. I don't know that we can't, but I don't think that we can. I believe it's totally outside of that. And there's no points. Actually, it doesn't go against the driver's license. It goes against the car. If you don't pay him, maybe we'd see him. I'd have to look. I don't think we can. Let's see here. Will police deny my application if I have a G2 license currently? I do not believe that they will deny it. I believe that you have to have your full license before you graduate, but talk to them. Talk to a recruiter. That is the way to go. 10:31, we're late for the game. Oh, and as I say that, can you hear me?
Begins Boxing Day.
Howdy. Okay, I see the chat that you said hi. We hear some noise, but we don't hear.
All the people in your life need a happy place to come and be together.
And
all you have to do is
okay. I'm dropping down the audio a little bit for my viewers because I've been told that the feed has overpowered them.
Together with all people you love.
I hear the
Now I
feed. We're
get
good.
Out with the doll lifeless jump.
No, we're
in
good.
with
We're good.
sparkling,
Everything's
lively
good.
people.
I'm talking to everybody else.
Disappear.
I usually get
All you have to
news
do
from
is
the
click.
audience that
Unleash
we're
the
live.
light.
If you
Call
can
1-800-GOT-JUMP.
mute the
Or
feed
visit
until we're ready to go
1-800-GOT-JUMP.com.
and give you 30 seconds,
So
that
get
would be
this,
awesome.
the Ontario Liberals elected Bonnie Crombie as their new leader.
Bonnie, who?
I just sent you her profile. Check out her place in the Hamptons.
I'm going to mute them for a second. Send them a text message. Please give me 30 seconds notice.
Bonnie Crombie.
No, they didn't turn it down. Okay. I sent them the message. We'll check back in a second. I think we're supposed to go at 35, which is 3 minutes away. If you are watching and you don't know what's about to happen, we join on a regular basis. News Talk 1010. Do I have a picture of Deb? I think I do. Hey, we are going to be joined by Deb Hutton, which is the photo I just put up on screen. If you'd like to call into the show, you can do so by dialing 416-872-1010 or text 71010. That will allow you to talk to Control and possibly join the show, which would be exciting, I think. Come and chat with us. Now, back to the question of will they deny the application? I don't think they will, but definitely talk to a recruiter. Okay, what do I want to do here? I want to take that off the screen. There we go.
Roast, naturally aged.
No, they haven't. They still have it going on in the background. All right. So again, if you want to call the show, call into the show, 416-872-1010 or text 71010. We'll be taking questions from the audience momentarily. I keep jumping in to see if they've muted. I don't want to miss the opportunity. I've done this where I'm talking and they can't hear me and they're confused. And it's because I don't want you to hear commercials. Okay. Somebody wants to know if I've ever been pulled over. Sure. Before I was a police officer. Absolutely I was. I got 2 tickets. I believe it was only 2 tickets. And they changed my driving.
Details.
Okay. Oh, some people are making comments that are not friendly. And they're not directed at me.
I have the road.
They're directed at other people. What is this? Do I give out tickets when your Maple Leafs lose as usual? Well, right now I don't give out tickets, but I never give out tickets based on anger.
I'm going to.
And I don't follow hockey, so that really makes no difference. But I see the attempt at a joke and humor.
Season.
Okay, I'm gonna have to leave that on because I don't want to miss the intro. All right. Someone says, "Be honest. Are you in love with the sound of your voice?" I've been told I've got a nice voice. Do you agree or disagree? Is that what you're asking me? Let's see. We're going to go live now.
Your iHeartRadio app through your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, or right from our website at newstalk1010.com. You're listening to Jerry Agar on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Welcome back. It's Deb Hutton filling in for Jerry today and tomorrow. It is that time. I think it's usually on Wednesday, but with all things Christmas and holiday season, things move around a little bit. Nonetheless, we are thrilled this morning to be joined by Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop. Welcome back to the Jerry Agar Show, Sean.
It is a pleasure to be here.
So 71010 is the way that you can send in your questions if you want to do it by text, or 416-872-1010 if you want to talk live and in person with the TikTok traffic cop. So let's start with some of those texts that have come in. Again, 71010 or 416-872-1010. What are the rules with e-bikes? I was stopped as I entered into a parking lot, and a young person on an e-bike didn't see me as she was swerving to go around a car that was backing up and ran into my car.
So e-bikes, if you're talking about on the road, actually e-bikes in general, if they qualify as e-bikes under the legislation, so they cannot be capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour, can't have a motor more than 500 watts, can't be more or can't be heavier than 120 kilos, well, they're considered bicycles. And they are responsible for all the rules of the road and can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act. When you're talking about private property in a parking lot, they can't be charged, but they're still vehicles. And if they're modified, if they're vehicles that don't fall under the legislation because they're too powerful to be given that treatment as a bicycle, well, they become they revert, I should say, to being motor vehicles, and they require license, ownership, and insurance. And they're illegal on the road, they're illegal in parks, they're illegal on the sidewalk, they're illegal everywhere.
So are they supposed to be in the bike lanes? If they are in that first category that you mentioned, the smaller, can't go over whatever you said, 30 kilometers an hour, are they supposed to be in the bike lanes?
Depends if they're allowed to be in the bike lanes. So if they're the big scooter style ones, they're not allowed to be or if they look like a motorcycle, if they look like a moped, they can't be in bike lanes. They have to be in actual lanes of the road. If they're pedelecs or look like bicycles, if they're small framed units, then they should be in the bicycle lane, or at least they have the ability to. But just like bicycles, they can be in a regular lane, although the bicycle lane is there for their protection.
Okay. Because, I mean, that's what I'm finding. When you come out of the studios here at News Talk 1010 on Richmond Street, which is a one-way, you come out and I have to cross and I look and you can see a bike coming, so you make sure you wait, all those things. But those vehicles can go pretty fast, and all of a sudden you look, it's clear, and they are on you.
Well, it's funny you say they go pretty fast because you have people who cycle that can go faster pedaling than 32 kilometers an hour, which is amazing.
Yeah,
I think they deserve a medal. But the deal is that they can move quickly, and 30 kilometers is a reasonable speed. And they are not necessarily taking into consideration what you're about to do. We find that sometimes cyclists do things that are less predictable than motorists. And to give credit, motorists can do some pretty unpredictable things too.
416-872-1010 or text us at 71010 to talk to the TikTok traffic cop. Let's go to Kevin in downtown. Kevin, what's your question?
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Yes, I got a ticket in the mail yesterday for $150, and I assume it was me. It was when I was poking my head into a store that wasn't open. I came back and was parked on a street that wasn't eligible for parking yet. I believe that's when it was, because there was no ticket on my wiper. So there was no copy of a ticket given to me. And then number two, they had the wrong model on the ticket. So that on the one sent in the mail, the license plate was correct, but the model was incorrect. They said I was driving a Saturn, and I don't drive a Saturn.
Interesting. So it was a parking ticket, and they can be issued by mail. Usually that's done when something called a drive-away occurs, where someone, they've started writing the ticket before, and you've left before they've had a chance to issue it. I'm assuming you're in the city of Toronto. That's how it works here. In terms of the efficiency, in terms of what the description
was no one
is,
in sight, so maybe someone
I
took it
couldn't
off.
tell you about that part. I'm just giving you a basic. It is possible that they were off to the side, or maybe it blew away. I don't know. Either way, if the description is incorrect, if it wasn't you there, you could always go and have a discussion with a prosecutor or have a dispute that ticket. But if it was you who was there and the location and everything else was correct, it's possible that they would be able to still move forward on that.
Thanks for the call, Kevin. Let's go to Anna in Etobicoke. Anna, what's your question for the TikTok traffic cop?
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my call. So I was wondering, when a bike is in its bike lane and the car is beside them, so they're going the same way, and it's a red light, and then the pedestrian crossing sign comes on, is the bike have a right to go through, or does it have to abide by the same law as cars?
A cycle or a bicycle is a vehicle. It has to follow all of the rules of the road as a car would. So the pedestrian advance does not apply to cyclists. They have to wait with the cars. And I think that's what you're asking.
Yes. And
yes,
you know what? From my experience, they think it applies to them.
There's a lot of confusion, and that's both because cyclists don't necessarily have driver's licenses and may not know all the rules of the road, even though they are responsible to follow them. So those that are drivers and also ride, they are aware or should be aware. And the ones who aren't drivers may not be aware, but they ought to be aware, and they're still responsible for those rules of the road and can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act.
416-872-1010. Give us a call and get your questions in to TikTok traffic cop Sean Shapiro. Let me tell you a text quickly here, and I know you've answered this before. I noticed some cars with color headlights, example, purple or yellow. Not only do they look stupid, texter's words, not mine, they are impractical. Are these legal?
They are not legal. The only color you can project forward from a headlight is yellow or white. Those are the only two colors. And there's a maximum number of lights you can have. You can have no more than 4 head beams or headlights that are more than 300 candela in power. So they're pretty specific about what's allowed and what's not. And yeah, covering a light, changing its color, tinting it, changing the bulb color, all of these things are illegal and would be subject to a fine of $110.
I was just going to ask, what is the penalty? $110 isn't a ton, though.
No, it's not. In fact, we've got some of the lowest fines in the country when it comes to, well, just about everything, except possibly stunt. But the deal is that everyone complains that they're being held accountable to and charged all this big money. Truth is, we're pretty low cost, but maybe we need to raise it.
There you go. A topic for another day. Let's go to Mike in Mississauga. Mike, what's your question for the TikTok traffic cop?
Hey guys, I just had a question about distracted driving and the rules around it. So obviously you can't use your phone at all. I understand that, nor do I want to use it when I'm driving. But what in regards to like what's covered by it, is it very strict, as in like I can't even take like a sip of water or like coffee or anything?
So
if I'm at like even like a traffic light or something?
Totally get your question. I'll cover it all. In the province of Ontario, distracted driving tickets are specific to cellular communication devices, entertainment devices, like does anyone even still use an iPod, where there's a video capability but no text send or receive type thing? It's not a communication device. It's strictly for watching videos. It also covers screens visible by drivers. So if you're using a cell phone, even if you're just holding it, you're violating that. If you're holding is using an entertainment device like an iPod or a game unit for that matter, that would be covered under distracted driving. And if your passenger was showing you their Instagram account, that would also qualify under distracted driving. Water, coffee, candy, pop, juice, sandwiches, That could be careless driving if it negatively impacts your ability to safely operate your vehicle, but it's not distracted driving as the law is written.
The one that always gets me is, yelling at your kids in the back seat of the car. Is that actually distracted driving?
It's funny you say that because distraction is the leading cause of collisions right now, and distraction could be just being lost in thought, right? For truly a distraction of any kind, conversation, daydreaming, that can cause a collision, but it doesn't fall into that category of ticket.
We are out of time. I'm so sorry about this because I know you usually have a longer segment with Jerry, but thanks so much for being here, answering all those questions. Apologies for those who didn't get answered. You'll have to come back in the new year and give Sean a call when Jerry's back in the seat. Thanks again.
Happy holidays, everyone. Take care.
That's always a fun segment, but man, that went quickly. This is Deb Hutton filling in for Jerry Agar. We are going.
Okay, that's that segment done. And let me just go back to our regular lower third. And this one says replay podcast. Why? Because I'll be downloading this episode and uploading it to our podcast platform. That allows you to play it when you're in the car, and it's all done so you can enjoy without burning your data if you catch us when we're not live. If you want to watch it live, you can do that, not when you're driving, but you can listen to the audio only on your favorite podcasting app. It's available anywhere that podcasts are, and you can do that by going to trafficcop.ca and hit the button for podcasts. Now, in studio and waiting to get back on the air is Sergeant Campbell. You missed where I read the Christmas card that we received.
We received a Christmas card.
We did.
Oh.
And then we actually had that viewer jump into the live. So also, you may notice that, look at this. Amazingly, the feed for Instagram is we're on one camera for everywhere.
Pretty good.
I'm pretty impressed.
Awesome. Well, it gets you, but it isn't.
No, it's not. Well, it's the center, whoever's in the middle.
Well, welcome back. I hope your trip was good.
It was good. I haven't even really talked about my trip. I went to Florida. And from Florida, I went to, I went to the port of Florida, Fort Lauderdale, jumped on a cruise ship, toured around a little bit, went to Curacao, Aruba. I was supposed to go to Bahamas, but ended up going to Haiti because of bad weather in the Bahama area. And it was a great time. Except my bed was not really comfortable.
Well, I got to tell you, my bed was comfortable, but I was here and I was working. So
yes, somebody has to.
I'm glad you're back, though, because I can take, half an hour out of my day and jump in here. I love doing it. So
yeah, we have a lot of fun, and people like you.
Apparently,
I don't know.
I got Christmas cards. I got mentioned in one, anyways.
Yes, it was to both of us. Let's see here. We had a scrolling back because some stuff happened when I was looking at other screens. Okay, so this is a question we can jump into right now. Is it illegal not to move over when someone tries to enter the freeway, so at an on-ramp, I think is what we're saying. So not to let somebody in, is it illegal if you don't let them in, if you don't move over to make space for them?
I have a story about that. I'll say afterwards, but is it illegal? No. Is it kind of rude, and are we not out there trying to cooperate with each other to try and drive? Then yes, we are. So is it legal? No. Nothing.
I will say this. If you under the I agree exactly with what you said, except if someone were to hammer the gas to block your space so you couldn't get in, I think that would qualify for stunt because you're actively preventing someone from changing lanes. And I think there's a provision there. But it's different than just not making room.
See, I would go with 100% of the obligation as the person that is on the on-ramp and having to change lanes. And if they cannot do so safely, they are obliged to not.
I agree. But if they had room and then someone hammers the gas to try and block it, I think that falls into a category which actually says preventing someone from changing lanes. But I think it's a lesser used area. I agree with you that there's an obligation for the person. But if you're doing everything right and then someone decides to do something to be nasty.
Late at night, I was traveling southbound on the Don Valley Parkway. I happened to see somebody traveling in the right lane, rightmost lane, not doing anything wrong, traveling at the great speed limit. They were doing perfect. Somebody came on the on-ramp and just so happened to merge at the same spot. The person that was traveling southbound already did not move, did not change, did not speed up, did not slow down. But the person that was trying to merge got very, very upset. And that person, at the very end of the on-ramp, had to slam on the brakes, come out behind them, and they went actually up and passed them on the left. pulled in front of them, slammed on their brakes.
Ooh, brake
and
check.
Guess who was there? So me and that gentleman had a conversation, and he got an awful lot of my signatures.
I bet he did.
And just because he is the one obligated to move over, and he thought he had the right of way, he learned the hard way. So
those are lessons that
sometimes, you know what?
And it's just avoidable. It's so avoidable. AJ the Awesome wants to know if we have a racing team. Does any department, I see in movies and games, illegal drag racing race car sponsored by police, does this actually exist? Oddly enough, in a roundabout way, we kind of sort of do, but not really.
Kind of.
If you look at Right Track Racing, friends of ours from divisions within the city, on their own time have created Right Track Racing. They have a drag car. It's a Mustang. It's pretty awesome. It says police on the side of it. And it is, what they do is education about racing legally. And it's not a police car. It's not owned or funded by the police, but it is certainly funded by police officers.
Yep. And you know what? What a great way to get out there and to interact with people and to start a conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's where the racing should be, not on the streets.
Where it's safe. And it's always
safer.
Well, I was going to say it's inherently dangerous to race, but they have things in place like paramedics on standby, teams to put fires out when the cars explode, because that happens. You know, bad racing has risk. Chappie Bear asks, is it legal to post ride program locations? Doesn't that defeat their purpose? I would agree. Is it legal? There's no law against it. It's really it's really not a nice thing to do, because you are helping people who are putting lives at risk get away with it. Mind you, they're probably not reading the
It's
texts.
like the people using certain apps who, would post a location of a speed trap. Well, the location of the speed trap is out there to slow people that are driving excessively fast, to make all the roads safer for everybody, including the person that's actually posting it, so that the next person coming along, if they were driving badly, will slow down for a little bit and then speed up again and make it just as dangerous.
Yeah, I don't like warning people. I like catching people. I think they should all get tickets when they break the law.
Absolutely.
Joe Kenny wants to know if you can proceed through a four-way stop if the other car can't because of pedestrians. So someone's crossing, they're blocked, even though it would have been their right of way. Could you now go because there's time for you to go safely?
Yeah.
Yeah. This whole concept of right of way is primarily, if all things are perfect, if everyone arrives at based on order of operations at an intersection, they have the ability to go when they're supposed to go, then they can go. If they can't, well, that changes things, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does.
Let's see here. Oh, I am Boy Mom says, good morning. And that was at 20 after 10. We're a little behind because it is now 10 to 11. Let's see here. Send me a 20. Do you mean send me a 20 like a bill, or send me a 20 as a location? I don't know. We're talking 10 code. What are we doing?
So yes, your 1020 is your location. So it's kind of that's kind of the lingo we use, but
I don't know what they're talking about.
If you want to send us $20, no, don't do that.
don't send us $20. I think they'd like us to send them $20. I don't know. How long does it take to get points back after losing them on your license? So you actually don't lose them; you gain them. It's like golf. You want to have a zero. You want to have 0 points, but points will stay on your license for 2 years from the date of the offense once they're applied. So if they so if you take 2 years to get to court, you actually don't get the points. Which is really weird because your record stays on your license for 3 years from the date of conviction. Is different.
So points are just used as an accumulating value for the Ministry of Transportation to actually flag your driver's license for review or suspension.
Mm-hmm.
That's all points do. Your conviction, especially if it's a moving violation, stays on your record for 3 years, or it always stays on your record. We can see it always. And it's used for maybe insurance purposes, for employment purposes, for things like that. So points and your convictions are totally separate, used for two totally separate things.
And here's the one myth, and I've talked about it before, is that everyone seems to think that insurance companies care about your points, and they don't. They care about convictions. And those are the things they use to establish your risk, and risk is what they establish your rates and whether or not they want to have you as a customer. So for all the people fighting to get no points, it's less important than you think, at least for your insurance.
Well, unless you've already had a bunch of
Well,
tickets with points, and you're about to
keeping
lose
your
driver's
license is a different story.
Right.
Yes, for that purpose, they are important. But I think people think it's your insurance and not the lack of license business. How was my trip? My trip was fantastic. Thanks for asking. Anytime I get to spend time with my family, my kids, is a good time. If I was sitting at home on the couch, I would have enjoyed it too. But fortunately, I got to do it in warmer weather that included a pool often. Okay. Oh, the question earlier was if I won, and by the way, hi Zombie, how you doing? If I've been given a car for $1 before, is it possible? So this was in response to someone asking if I raced for pink slips and won, could I register the car?
Absolutely. If you race for pink slips, it's a wager, it's a bet. And if the person sells you the car, fills out the used vehicle information package, signs a bill of sale, signs the back of the ownership to you, it's yours.
Done.
So if you've been given a car, you can get a car for $0. Somebody can gift you a car.
I had a car gifted to me.
I have never. I've never been so lucky.
I had to do a lot of work to it, but it was gifted to me.
So you can get gifted a car. The only difference would be that you would not pay taxes on it.
Would they do your Blue Book value, or they?
I'm not sure on a gift, especially if it's a gift from a family member. It definitely
Family is an exemption.
Yeah.
Or I think it's immediate family, but family nonetheless. Deluxe says, if an officer pulls you over for stunt driving and says he doesn't know your speed, is that eligible? Depends on what the stunt driving act was.
There's a whole bunch of elements for stunt driving. All you need is one of them to be charged with stunt driving. Stunt driving is the overall charge for a bunch of different offenses.
About 15 different triggers. So that could be, now the speeding segment is 150 anywhere, 50 over in a speed limit zone 80 and above, 40 over in a zone under 80. But there's driving with someone in your trunk, intentional loss of traction in a turn. Jackrabbit starts at an intersection where you go before the other, you make a left turn in front of traffic before they have a chance to respond to it. There's a ton of different ways to do it. So yes, you can get stunt driving charges without knowing your speed, because speed may not be the trigger.
Yep, and you know what? Your speed in traffic, if you're traveling at faster than the flow of traffic, that could initiate a stunt driving charge as well. Just because you're weaving in and out of it, doesn't have to be over the speed limit.
Absolutely. Jess wants to know if we think that
we do.
Impaired driver stats are higher this year than previous years. I don't know. I haven't been analyzing them that much. I think they're pretty much on average, maybe a little higher.
Things have changed with us. Impaired driving stats from a couple of years ago, before mandatory alcohol screening, was a bit different. It was a little tougher to catch them. Now with mandatory alcohol screening, any traffic stop we conduct, we can screen for alcohol. So we don't have to smell it. The guys that are drinking, vodka to mask it, or lots of cologne or whatever, it doesn't work anymore. So we're catching...
Sucking on pennies?
Sucking on pennies was one of the ones, especially when I was growing up.
People thought that was a thing. That mouthful go, no, officer, I'm fine.
Yep. Plus, pennies are... Well, coins are dirty.
There's a video that I have to send you. Yes. Okay. There's a comedy reel. Someone talking about public speaking in pennies. Go pennies and public speaking. So can I drive without a driver's license, asks Goodell.
You can.
And you can get caught for it.
Well, not on the road you can't.
Oh, private property again. Yes.
Sure. Your driveway, a parking lot, somewhere you're allowed to do it. Farmer's field, as long as you're not stunt driving, sure you can.
Is it true
Not on the road, though.
Not on the road. And if you do it and you get caught, it's bad.
And you said it again, didn't you?
Do. If you do it. Is it true that 20 over is considered stunt driving now? No, it's not. I just went over that. But 20 over is not it. There are so many other ways to do it, though. 150 anywhere. That's one that really messes with people, because they think that over 80, you have to be doing 50 over. But you could be doing 40 over in a 110, and it is 150, thus it's stunt driving.
Right.
So, yeah. Will the police, we talked about this already. I've answered this a couple of times, but maybe they didn't think I saw it. Will they deny my application if I only have my G2 license? Again, contact your recruiter. What is this?
It depends. Depends what the timing. Depends how long
will you graduate
have.
With a G is the big question.
Right. So you have to be fully licensed to be a police officer with the City of Toronto anyways.
Here is a question. What is the question? If I'm on a highway with a median, do I need to shut off brights for oncoming traffic? It's about oncoming traffic. The median doesn't come into play.
So if it's a divided highway and you're facing oncoming traffic, I can give an example of the Don Valley Parkway has a raised median. Yes, you would blind oncoming traffic. There are sections of Highway 401 that are divided by a huge median, maybe 407 divided by a huge median. All depends on where you are, which way you're facing, if it affects the oncoming cars. You'd have to have a huge divided highway to actually not affect.
There are highways in the States where it's treed in between, like depending on the situation. Depends.
So you're good. So yes, the difference is who does it affect?
I like it. David Jordan says, not a question, but I love your content and the answers that you provide. Thank you very much, Jordan. David. I was going to call him Jordan. I appreciate it. We appreciate the feedback and Christmas cards. Is it illegal? We talked about this. I think that charges, what is this? I think, must be a discussion about the vehicles we drive. We do have primarily Explorers, although we have, I believe, 4 Chargers now.
Yeah. You'll still see some Tauruses out there.
Very
few.
Using,
yeah.
They're hanging out.
The Explorers are good for work in the city. A lot of room. We don't have to go extreme speeds.
It's true.
Works good.
A lot of the time, our cars are not moving. AJ the Awesome says he's got to go back to work. Keep up the great work, Sean. Merry Chrysler. I like it. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that jazz. I want to be all-encompassing. It's the holiday season of awesomeness. Let's see here. Isn't speed cameras illegal? No. In fact, I'd like to see more of them, but that's my personal opinion. Speed cameras are covered under the law. The laws were modified to allow them. Now, we don't use them like we used to use them. That's different.
The good way.
The good way.
Yes.
I'd like to see them in higher speed roads. These are specifically used in community safety zones. That's the stipulation is you have to use them in a community safety zone and
has to be signed.
Has to be warnings.
You get warnings. If anybody gets caught, it's because they're not paying attention, because there's a bunch of signs that tell you it's there.
Oddly enough, we give hints, and if you ignore them, then you don't deserve a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, you don't deserve a break even if you're just speeding. If you're speeding, you don't want to take it, don't speed. That's the easiest way to go.
We've talked about this before, but over in Europe, they have an overall average speed camera. So on the motorways, like our highways, in between exits, it would take your license plate at the start and license plate at the end. It would average out what your speed was over there and could give you a ticket.
I like it.
I like it too. That stops the people seeing the sign, jamming on the brakes, going
that's
slow,
it.
Speeding up,
it's
running somebody over.
And it doesn't matter if you decide to hop up for a little bit and come back down. It would take a lot of work for you to figure out how to maintain just under that.
So the easy way to do it is just go the speed limit.
So easy. Tertius, I think that's how, or Tertius, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I'm trying. Don't you need to have a name tag to activate your uniform? Where is it here? There it is. I done has one. Yes. Can you drive on any highway with a G2 license? Oddly enough, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. Well, any highway that allows you access. Like, you can't just drive on a highway without, no, it's any highway. I'm trying to think if there's any highway that would.
Where are you going with this?
No, like a runway. No, that's
not a highway.
You can drive on any highway. The only conditions for a G2 are that you have to maintain a 0 blood alcohol content, and in the first year you have conditions as to how many passengers under the age of 20 that you can have between midnight and 5 a.m. Let's see here. I got a stunt driving ticket for 110 and a 60. Got the tow and suspension. First ticket, do I get a lawyer? That is entirely up to you, and usually it's an agent, not a lawyer, but the fact is that you have the ability to have someone represent you. It is a serious charge. The consequences on conviction are quite intense. You can be looking at a 1 to 3 year suspension, a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, and although unlikely or uncommon, up to 6 months in jail.
Yep.
So it's serious.
You know what? Any knowledge that you can gather from whomever it is, correct knowledge, by the way, is better for you. So you can make a decision on what you're doing and how you're going to address this. It may be better to plead guilty. It may be better to fight it. It may be, it all depends.
And most of these companies will give you at very least a consultation at a low price or no charge. So shop around, get some advice. There is also something called the Ontario Guide for POA Defendants, and that is a free document available from the courts. It gives you information so you understand as a resource what's available to you, how everything works, what you can ask for, and that might be enough for you. At very least, it's available. If you go to trafficcop.ca, you can use that a link that I have there to get that PDF file and read it. We've got, can I drive after 3 beers?
Depends.
Everybody deals with alcohol and drugs differently, and how you and your size and weight and everything that makes you may make you under the limit, while somebody else might be bombed and not safe to drive. And
what I can say, the best thing is
no drinking or driving.
The best is no. None. Zero.
That is truly the best advice. Zero alcohol if you're going to get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle or a conveyance of any kind. Is it true that breathalyzer tubes are being kept for the DNA data? I would say that's not true. In fact, you can keep your DNA tube. Your DNA tube.
Wow.
Oh, was that a Freudian slip?
Pull your foot out of your mouth.
Yes, it is a breathalyzer tube. So those little breathalyzer mouthpieces, they're yours to keep. We don't keep them, or you throw them out.
And in fact, I would encourage you to keep it because I don't want to touch it.
No, it's your slobbered, goobered mouthpiece is yours. I don't want it. Truly. Very often we say it's your souvenir for the evening. If you pass. If you don't pass, it's probably
you can still have it.
We can have it, but it's a memory of it's the less good. You're probably less happy about it. This is a good question. Is it illegal to stance your car and have camber? This is where the wheels, instead of being straight up and down, are suddenly tilted, and as a result, you're reducing the contact patch with the road. It depends. A minor camber may be okay. A major camber is going to be unsafe motor vehicle, pulling your plates and having you towed.
Yep, absolutely.
For the most part, I think it's absolutely silly.
Why would you take something that is designed by the manufacturer to actually be reasonably good, make it worse, and then go drive on the road with it?
Right. Millions of dollars go into the design for motor vehicles to operate the way the manufacturer intends, in comfort and safety, and then people go and bugger it all up.
Hey, you know what? If it's a drift car, I get it. I understand
on the track.
But you can't drift on the road.
Right.
So why would you put that car on the road?
You shouldn't. This user wants to know if I was at G20 Toronto 2012.
Yep.
I was in the, what was it called? The PC. I was a court officer at the time. I was inside of the prisoner center. I can't remember what the acronym was.
G20, I think it was 2010, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I think it was 2010.
Yeah. What? I don't think it was 12. I think it was before.
I think so. I was here.
We were working, but different places.
I actually started work at Traffic Services that month.
No kidding.
So I was brand new down here.
It had to be earlier because I was in 2012. I was already a supervisor, and I was not a supervisor at G20. I was
I say 2010.
I think you're right. I just wondering, is a parking invoice a real parking ticket with no dollar amount?
So there are City of Toronto notice of infractions, and they are parking tickets. And you are required to pay them. If you don't, then your vehicle, even though to renew it is free, you wouldn't be able to renew your license plates, and you could get a ticket. You can be stopped driving on the road.
I wonder if parking invoice is a private property.
Well, that's what I was about to say. There are a bunch of private properties that do not hire parking enforcement officers from the City of Toronto or licensed municipal law enforcement officers, MLEOs, to write tickets. They're the only ones in the City of Toronto that are allowed to write parking tickets. If they give you an invoice and say, hey, you parked on our property, you shouldn't have, and I'm going to make you pay the 96 whatever it is. A lot of them are 96.20 or something like that. Is it? No. But could it be a notice of civil action taken before you? Could be.
Yeah, and getting a small claims court to action against you is probably not fun. But it's not the same as a regular ticket.
So have a look. Make sure a ticket is a ticket and it's returnable to the City of Toronto and payable to Metro Hall. That is in the City of Toronto. That is a real ticket. Anywhere else? No.
By the way, Mikey Holmes, thanks for the love your show comment. I appreciate it. Nancy asks, can transport trucks drive on the left side / faster lane of the Red Hill? I don't know what the Red Hill
I think that's in Hamilton.
Is that right?
I believe so.
So left lane on highways is is apparently prohibited. So it was a question as to whether or not it was signs only, but you found it in the HTA where it specifically says commercial vehicles can't be in the left lane.
Right, unless for emergency purposes.
Or, and I guess if
it's signed, depending on the highway. So if it's signed, absolutely not. And then I'm not sure about the Red Hill.
I don't know where the Red Hill is until you said.
I think it's Hamilton.
And then there was the if they had to go into the left lane to get into an access to go to express lanes type thing, there's obviously they can travel through them temporarily. It's not a prohibition. It would make for very strange driving.
And an awful lot of the highways have bridges over them. And the closer you get to the edges of the bridge or the support in the middle, you can see the bridges, they kind of curve at the edge there. So they may keep overheight vehicles out of that lane.
Yes.
So that they're accessing the highest part of the bridge when they're traveling underneath it.
Truth.
That's for some of the older bridges that we have.
The Archie ones. Holy, look at this camera quality. I guess today we have it set up for 1080p as opposed to 720. I've been trying to manage audio sequencing, trying to figure out what issues work. But today I pumped it all up to full quality to see if it caused an issue or not. I guess I haven't heard any comments about audio sequencing, so it should be good. Or synchronization, I should say. What do we got here? Bike rack question. I like bike rack.
Easy for you to say.
Bike rack questions. Bike rack question. Lost dates, plates need to be visible. Can I take a color copy and place it on?
Your bike rack cannot be placed in a manner that blocks any portion of the plate, your bicycle, even when it's attached there, cannot block any portion of the plate. I have stopped people before for that. I actually stopped somebody who went out and bought a specific vehicle specifically because the license plate was over to the side and they could use a bike rack in the back because that was important to them.
And I really appreciate that level of dedication. There are bike rack relocation kits. You can get them from most manufacturers of bike racks, especially the high-end European ones. You can even get extension cables. They will plug into the, what's it called?
Are you talking a driver's, like a license plate relocation?
Yeah.
You said bike rack relocation.
I meant the license plate relocation. Thank you for paying attention.
I'm thinking about
this was a test that you passed.
Yes, license plate relocation, absolutely.
Yes, and they will have in your brake light, what's it called? A trailer hitch light hookup.
Yep.
They'll actually illuminate for night driving the relocated license plate. So it's a really great plan, and that's the way to do it in Europe. It's very common. Here, it's very uncommon, but it is what's required.
On one of my vehicles, I've used not a bike rack, but a cargo carrying rack that goes into the trailer hitch.
Yeah.
And when I did that on one of our vehicles, it completely blocked the driver's license. You could not see it anywhere. So I took the license plate off and I put it on the back of the rack.
Bingo, bango, done.
I was traveling during the daytime, so that's okay.
It
was on the rear plate.
So many people just put clip-on lights just to illuminate the plate. Like there's ways of doing it.
Yep.
It just needs to be illuminated. Mateo wants to know how my vacation was. It was fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Mine wasn't.
Because you had to work.
Yes.
But when are you going on vacation next?
February. Snowmobile trip.
Ooh.
Yes.
What is the penalty for driving? For getting caught using your phone while driving. $615 dollars, not actual bones. That would be awkward.
Yeah. I don't think
it's a foot. So how many bones are in your foot?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But there's more in your foot than anywhere else. But there is $615, and there's a suspension, 3-day suspension, and 3 demerit points on conviction.
Yep, absolutely.
It's no fun.
Don't do it.
No, bad idea. What is this? What if your car is on a tow truck and the tow truck runs a red light and your car gets a ticket? I think because the fact that these are manually reviewed by real people in offices, they would see that. Hopefully they would see that. I could see there being an issue where it may not, because it may be the only visible plate if it's a flatbed, and that truck plate could be beneath the lip of the bed. So I could see it happening, but I think you'd have a pretty good defense.
So a tow truck plate actually has to be up high to be able to be seen when it is towing a conveyance.
There you go.
So both plates would have been visible. If they choose to go with the one that's on the car, you'd have a defense. Just like somebody I know had a motorcycle in the back of a pickup truck. The pickup truck plate got charged for using the 407, and so did the motorcycle.
Nice.
They took a little while to fight that, because they never want to give money back again. But eventually they won. Common sense.
Yeah. the not so common thing. Do I have to talk at all during a traffic stop?
Yep.
Yes,
you do.
Yeah, you know, do you have to answer every question we give you? If we're asking, how you doing today, you don't have to really do that. But if we ask you questions related to the stop, you've got to give us information.
You have to identify yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And you have to comply with demands.
Yep.
So those demands could be to provide your license, ownership, and insurance, which if you refuse to or are unable to comply to, you'd be eligible for tickets. If the demand is made related to alcohol or drugs, you have to comply. Even inspection of your vehicle.
Yep. Well, if we're talking specifically talking, mostly it's identification.
Mm-hmm.
That would be talking.
Yeah, like even if you comply without verbally responding, you're still engaged in the exchange. If you ignore us, that's a different story.
Well, they're talking specifically about talking, though.
Yes. So you're right. You don't have to talk.
You don't
except
have to talk
to identify.
To identify yourself.
Now, if someone says, if you provide identification and you don't talk, and I say, I want to clarify, you're still at this address, and you refuse to.
Is that you?
And you don't respond? Yeah, that's a problem.
Do you still live there? Yes.
Yeah, you have to complete the portions that are mandatory to satisfy, or you might find yourself in trouble. Like, you could be arrested if you provide identification and it's not satisfying us that it's you, and you're refusing to engage with us. That's pretty suspicious, and things could escalate.
Even if it is you.
Yeah.
If I'm not fully, if I don't fully believe that is you, then I'm going to take you into custody until I figure out if it is or isn't you.
So whether you have to, well, it's probably in your best interest too.
Right.
Just yeah, and politely. I think a lot of people steer themselves down the rabbit hole of trying to be difficult just to be difficult, and it doesn't always go well.
Right, but do you have to be polite?
No.
No, you don't.
No. But I think it's better for people.
Well, I agree. I like them better.
Yes, I tend to give fewer tickets to people who are polite. Just saying. we've got. Is your name Pfizer because you made my heart stop? That's a new application of Pfizer. Okay.
I've never heard that one.
I've never heard of it. I'm not even sure if it really works as a joke, but I'll take it.
Actually, you know what? That's a good one.
Is
it.
Pfizer related to causing heart failure?
Well, maybe it's the medication that starts your heart again.
I don't know. Apparently, it's lost on us. Here we go. What's the legal tint level for the front driver's passenger window in Ontario? So this is where things get muddy. There are two different standards. One is for certification purposes and what is considered a safe vehicle. The other is for complying with a Highway Traffic Act only, and that is not a specific number. So for certifying a vehicle, you cannot have a motor vehicle with more than 30% light blockage on the windows, and that is what would fail a certification.
The windows to the left and right of the driver.
Directly left and right of the driver, and of course the windshield can have no tint. If you are talking about a vehicle that is on the road and it has legal tint for certification, and we can't see in it, whether it's because the tint simply doesn't allow it, or it's reflective, or it is due to atmospheric conditions, otherwise like dark outside. If I cannot identify the driver, can't see the driver inside, you can get a ticket for $110. It is for obscure the interior of your motor vehicle. It's $110. So there's two different ways you have to be compliant. But Emma was right on it, saying 30% light blockage.
Yep. One is a ticket. One gets your license plates pulled and your car towed away.
Yes. Not and towed away at your expense. Let's see here. I'm told that I'm not allowed to drive on the QEW with my G2. Please explain G2 highway rules. You were lied to. That's the truth.
Right. So QEW refers to the Queen Elizabeth Way, which is a controlled access highway that would restrict you from your G1 operating on it unless
accompanied by a qualified driving instructor, not mom and dad, unless they happen to be professional driving instructors. That's the deal. But whoever told you that was mistaken.
And you should know that because you read the book before you got your G1.
Absolutely.
And it's in there. I know it is. By the way, we still have not done our challenge.
This is true. This might be a New Year's thing.
So we were
or next week.
Just to let you know, we're going to do a challenge. We're going to read the.
We're not going to read the book. We're not reading the book.
We're going to do the G1 license test to see who does better.
Yeah, I like it. International license. How long can they drive before they need to change over as a visitor? So here's the thing. As a visitor, it depends. If they're truly a visitor, they're not a resident. They're just hanging out, chilling out. They're not working. They're not taking up residence. 6 months before I think you'd need an international driving permit from most places. Some places will require an international driving permit regardless of the time. So it's a little bit muddy. And I think the maximum is a year, but again, depends. But if you are a resident, if you're working, seeking any kind of status, you're
Going to school?
Going to school, you are not a visitor. You are a resident, and you have only 60 days. 60 days? I confuse this all the time.
160 and
130.
Yeah.
So it's 60 days for application to become a driver, which means if you apply, the minute you apply for your G1, you are a driver, and your international or foreign license is no longer accepted, and you are conforming to whatever the rules are of what you've been issued.
Now, you use the word foreign license or international license, and it is not such a thing. It's not actually a license.
It's true.
So an international
driving
license
permit
is a driving permit that takes your original license, as long as it's valid, and it translates it into whatever language the country you're going to. So in Ontario and Canada would be English or French, and it would take whatever valid driver's license you have, as long as it's a reciprocal agreement, and you'd have to present your original driver's license and your international driving permit to the police officer, both at the same time. And if you only do one or the other,
doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, if you come from a country that doesn't have Germanic text, we're talking about, it's not a regular alphabet. It could be a Cyrillic alphabet. We won't be able to understand that or even punch it in anywhere. So that will allow for translation, and that's what it is. And it has to be issued in your home country prior to leaving to come here.
Right.
If you want more information on that, people who are coming to Ontario or Canada, because we have the website that has information for every province, go to trafficcop.ca, and there are useful link sections at the bottom, and you will be able to find out there's a link specifically answering questions about this. Okay, what do we got here?
I think we're getting close to the end.
Well, we are. We're only at half past for the questions asked, but we only have 10 minutes left before I have to shut down.
Right. So let's get some good ones.
Yes. So we shouldn't address the fact that Xander ate mac and cheese with a taco shell.
Oh, lots of carbs there.
Yeah.
But could be good.
I don't know. My kids like deep fried mac and cheese.
Oh, I would like that.
Yeah. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, yes.
What were you doing before you were a cop? That's from Pratt M20. Good question. I was doing a lot of different things. I was...
You've done everything.
I've done a lot of things. I was a real estate agent. I was... what else did I do? I was a software guy. I've done a whole bunch of things. I've had businesses in the United States and Canada. So I've done a whole bunch of different things, but I've enjoyed being a police officer. And that was always the goal. I took a long road and a twisty path.
See, I took the straight line. So always knew I wanted to do this. Had a bunch of part-time jobs, but first real career job. Court officer, police officer.
So my first government job was court officer.
Mm-hmm.
I never had I'd always been in business and taken these weird things prior to, but I've had a lot of fun, and everything that I did, because the question is, well, wouldn't you have preferred to be a police officer straight away? It would have really helped my retirement age. However, the information, the experience I gathered doing all the other stuff has really made me who I am, and I think made me a better police officer than what I would have been had I just come in straight in.
See, I came in early, and I get to retire when I reach 53.
I got to wait till 58. So there is that. And I left for a period of time of paid service. So
Yep.
I added 2.5 years to my retirement for what it would have been had I stayed straight.
There you go.
What's the fine for vandalizing a speed camera box? The one on my street is always getting sprayed.
You know what? So fines alone,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually an arrest and a charge, a criminal charge. Why would somebody in your neighborhood want to do that so that the cars in your neighborhood drive faster and are more dangerous to everybody in the neighborhood? I don't get it. I don't get it.
I know not.
I see it all the time. So yes, it is a criminal code offense for mischief to private property, and
There's a range. It's probably $2,000, somewhere in the vicinity of $2,000 maximum. I'm assuming. I don't actually know. I'm making a total guess here. Could be $5,000.
It is a summary conviction offense. So is there jail time? Could be.
Mm-hmm. And I think there should be more jail time. I think our jails are not visited nearly enough.
Well, yes and no, depends.
I'm making a funny. That's maybe not that funny. I got my G1 back in 2004. I have yet to be stopped or got a ticket, knock on wood. So this is an interesting statement. I'm assuming this means you've been driving with your G1 It would have only been valid until 2009. So you're driving without a license at all, if that's what you're telling me. And you have been very lucky, because if you're driving without a license, you're not covered under insurance. It's going to be very expensive, not to mention the fact that you'd be charged for driving without a license. Now, if you keep renewing your G1, you would just be charged differently, where you're receiving suspensions and all sorts of sanctions for being a novice driver. You're just not a licensed driver at all.
Right. And if you have your G1, you have to have an instructing driver or licensed occupant in the car with you at all time. You and I, you know what? You and I should meet. Maybe one day out on the road.
On the road, yeah, where you can properly address the problem.
I can explain all that to you.
And give you an autograph or two
there
or
you
three.
Go.
Almost completed Honors Bachelor of Crime and Intelligence Analysis. Do you think it'll help me get a job, or do you think it'll get me a job? I think right now it's the best time to apply, and I would, don't stop what you're doing, but I would certainly start the process of applying for police constable if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that you do, any sort of background that you do, will help you get a job with us. We need all sorts of different people. If we have one cookie cutter police officer, they're only good at one set of things, and that's not what we want. We have lots of people that do an awful lot of different things around here and investigate all sorts of different crimes. They need all different sorts of skills.
For sure.
So
I always use the example of accountant. You may not want to be an accountant, but if that was something you were good at with numbers, if you had your degree in accounting, you could then take that skill and become a phenomenal investigator with our financial crimes unit, because you understand things that I wouldn't.
Yep. Electricians, Bell Canada techs, we hire them, and there are sneaky people.
Sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
They climb poles.
They do.
Pole climbers. But good luck to you on that. If you go to trafficcop.ca, links to our employment unit are there. The Dams Family CA, the Adams Family CA. My son-in-law's vehicle got damaged in the U-Haul chase yesterday. Who should we contact? I would suggest calling 416-808-1900 for information to get involved, to connect you to the investigators who would have done the collision report.
Yep, absolutely.
If you were not somehow captured in that already, if they were identified as involved, then they would have been in a collision report.
And even they may not know that your son's car got damaged. It was a long and dangerous
I haven't seen any of the content other than the final picture of the contact.
Yeah. So contact your insurance company as well.
Yes.
And if worse comes to worse, your insurance company can get a copy of the collision report and have all the information on there.
Yes, and if they tell you that you should go buy the collision report because collision reports are not free, tell them to get it. So that's their job. But definitely call the front desk, 416-808-1900. Explain to them what you're looking for, and they'll direct you to the appropriate officer. They might give you an email or a telephone number, either which way. Let's see here. Can I get arrested for cursing? Like we're talking like witchcraft cursing or hexing? No, you're allowed to use language. It depends if they're cursing, then goes into hate speech. That could be a different situation where it becomes criminal. But that's just for using profanity is not criminal.
Trust me, I have been called absolutely everything. Mm-hmm. And that is just friends and family doing it.
That's right.
When I'm a police officer on the road, it's even worse. So, doesn't faze us.
You have a question? What is the question? I have a question. There was another that I missed. If you are a mechanic working on police vehicles, can you test drive after repair?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, different jurisdictions have different requirements. I know that just outside of the Toronto, one jurisdiction puts a little sign on the window, not in service. And that's a bit of a clue. In Toronto, we may or may not do that. The person driving the car is an employee of the Toronto Police Service, but is not a police officer. So there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to slow down for speed bumps?
Unless you want to lose your suspension.
Speed bumps are one of those things that the speed limit is a speed limit, but if you choose to ignore the speed bump, you won't feel it.
Yep. So if you go over a speed bump at a speed that causes your tires to leave the roadway, could be stunt driving. So there you go. Think about that.
How do you like them apples? Can I turn right from the center lane during a red light at an off-ramp? If it's a center turn lane, if it's a multi-purpose lane and it's a red light and it's safe to do so, then legally you could going into the appropriate lane if it's two turn lanes.
Exactly. So the roadway you're leaving and the roadway you're entering has to have multiple lanes,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be a properly signed turn lane. Yes, you can. Other than that, no, you can't.
I don't know what the sub conversation was, but Jenny the G says he's still a real cop. Most traffic law enforcement go through the same training. I know you're responding to somebody. I just don't know who you're responding to. Let's see what the original. Oh, here's the original question. Traffic cop, huh? How's it feel? You can't be a real cop. Yeah. So as Jenny the G said, we're police officers. We're just better because we know traffic stuff.
Well, you know what? We have an awful lot of specialists in this job. There are people that do financial crimes. There are people that do forensics. There are people that do homicide investigations. There are people that do community interaction. We do traffic. You know what? I love traffic.
I love traffic too.
You know what? I'm into mechanics. I'm into vehicles. I'm into physics. I'm into a whole bunch of things that I'm actually pretty good at what I do. And I kind of know the HTA. Am I a police officer? 100%. Can I arrest you for murder? Absolutely, 100%. Can I do pretty much anything in this job if I choose to? Yeah, I can apply and go to any unit I want. I like being here. I think you do too.
I really like it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I was somewhere else, and we were both elsewhere prior to, but found ourselves here, and I think we're quite happy. But at the same time, not everyone can be a traffic officer. Some have to go to the ETF.
Yeah. Poor guys.
They get to exercise and play with guns all day, big guns and little guns and all sorts of guns. I like guns too, but that's a different story.
But thank you for sticking up for us and letting the story be straight.
Yes, not this one, but the other one.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What do we got here? Can MTO? Well, we're backing up here. I missed something that looked like it was important. Can MTO give tickets to semi-trucks at en route parking lots for wrong parking? I haven't the foggiest. I don't know. I don't think they do parking enforcement, but I don't know. So I
don't know.
It's a good question.
En route is en route.
Is it is part of the highway system? Maybe possibly.
It could be, and it's owned by the government of Ontario.
Oh,
the ON part of
Ontario?
it gives you, like.
They may have jurisdiction. That is, now we have a friend who may be watching who will text me. I'm looking for the text from MTO who might give me answers. Very often that happens. If we have an answer that pops up, I'll let you know.
Not all parking lots are private property.
Right.
So if you go to, say, a GO station parking lot, there are laws there that govern you to obey the stop signs, park in a proper spot. So the Metrolinx Act is another piece of government legislation that covers that. If you go to a TTC lot, there's specific law that...
I was going to say the Metrolinx, their lots, they have an act too.
Yeah, well, I just said that.
Oh, I think so.
Were you not listening?
No, I was reading something. I was reading DS
so you're just ignoring me.
Well, I'm acting while reading so I can go to the next question. How are Teslas legal? Because they have a big tablet right there. That's what I was trying to cue up. Ow. The answer is that cars have different ways of engaging with them, whether it be tactile buttons or electronic versions of those buttons. As long as they are lawful and aren't playing movies, they're legal. Yep. Now, it is more of a distraction, and you can still get charged for careless driving for using them if it's causing you to not drive safely.
Absolutely.
Now, the thing with Teslas, I think they're a wonderful heat score because I used to love riding up to them because 9 times out of 10, the driver was on their phone because they were on autopilot, not paying attention. They were bored because they weren't driving. What? Oh, no. What? They were texting away. And I stopped a lot of people in those vehicles. In fact, I stopped one and I looked down. I'm like, he lives across the street from me. Like he was my neighbor. I'd never met him across the street. Oh, no. That was going to be uncomfortable. He got a very stern talking to, and then because I had just been to his house for Halloween. Like that's why anyway, it was uncomfortable. Sometimes those things happen. The name in my ticket is totally wrong. The police was in a hurry. Should I still pay the fine? So, was everything else correct? Was the driver's license number, the license plate number? I mean,
go see some legal advice. Mm-hmm. A ticket is the certificate of offense. It is a proper document. Hint, hint.
It's possible that there might be an opportunity for you.
I'm not saying.
Can't give legal advice.
Get some legal advice about that.
However, I've seen a lot of things amended in court, but definitely get legal advice.
Yep, absolutely. Doesn't have to be perfect. Your ticket doesn't have to be perfect. The date doesn't have to be perfect. It can be changed in court, but get some advice.
This is obviously we're late to this comment, but it's when you walked in, you got a hello from I Am Boy Mom, a hello from Hi Sarge, from Akila Draconis.
Hello.
Yes. Nolan says, a lot of cop presence in the GTA recently. I don't know. I think we've always had a lot of police because we have a large police service. We still need more.
You know what? We are out there. There's an awful lot of stuff going on in the city and in the world right now. We are doing our best to address all of it all the time.
Here's a question that I don't know the answer to, and I'll just preemptively state that. Is it illegal to install a dual brake in a vehicle by a person who is not a licensed driving instructor? A person who is, yeah.
Is it legal? Yes.
It's a good idea.
Is it a good idea to use it, depending on how they're using it? If they're using it to make it safer or they're using it because your buddy wants to play a joke on you, could be one thing or another. So is it legal? On its face, no, it is not.
I wouldn't want that in my car. That just scares the heck out of me. That somebody else could stop it without me.
Well, maybe, a driving instructor, maybe that's needed.
If I was teaching anybody to drive and I was in the passenger seat, if I'm a passenger, I want it in every car I'm in because I am a control freak when it comes to driving.
So am I. It's police officer, A-type personality, has to be in control, that type of thing. When I'm a passenger in a car, that fake brake pedal is there for me because I'm.
Yeah, I've never taught driving. Other than to my wife and maybe my brother. I would love to have had a brake pedal in the car. JT14 says, hey, I have my physical today at Toronto Police College. Any tips? Pee beforehand. I think that's a good one. Go to the bathroom. Have that last opportunity to reduce stress of things in the back of your mind. Be lighter.
Do all that you can do. And then when you are completely done, do a little bit more.
Now, if we're talking about mentally prepare yourself, my thing was the only way I was going to fail is if I died. Honest to God, I was not going to let anything stand in the way of me passing that test the day that I did it. There was no quit. There is no quit. You cannot stop. There's no I'm going to do it tomorrow. There's no next time is okay. When you feel like you want to stop, keep going. That's it.
Nice.
We don't get and I mean this for once you're on the job. You don't get a do-over. When we're in a fight, when we're in a chase, when we're in anything, you have to win. And you got to get yourself mentally ready for that now.
Could be life or death. Mm-hmm. And it could be your life. So don't quit.
100%. Can you be charged if the bright sun is in your eyes plays a role in your collision? Yes, you could.
Absolutely.
You're still responsible for everything your vehicle does, that you do in your vehicle.
If you cannot see,
you should not drive.
Don't move.
It's true.
Yeah.
Listen, things happen. It may be a contributing factor in the collision, but you can't just say, I didn't see or I couldn't see because the sun was in my eyes, because everyone would say it all the time. Well, at night it would be hard to say that.
Right.
But people use all sorts of excuses, and it may be the truth, but it doesn't make you less responsible. What is this? Ooh, Chase has, this is a question about from earlier. Chase throws a curveball. If you make it to the end of the merging lane on the 400 and someone doesn't let you in, can you use the unpaved shoulder to get up to speed and merge?
No.
Can't drive on the shoulder.
Nope, not at all. That's the untraveled portion of the roadway. You cannot do that. And you cannot pass people on the right of the roadway. So if you find yourself on the shoulder, stopped on the shoulder because of a breakdown, because of any other sort of circumstances, yes, get up to speed on the shoulder before you merge back in.
That's different.
If you're just doing it because your merge lane, nobody will let you in, guess what? You got to stop so you can get in.
And that sort of, if you get to the end and you can't get in, you didn't plan it very well, surely. And if traffic is moving at speed, there's a problem. If it's dead end traffic, we're not, or stop and go traffic, it's a different situation. You can stop and easily get in. You need to be planning better ahead. And I know this is a hypothetical question, but it's about planning. How do you deal with he said, she said in a collision situation?
Well, I take the whole story from one side and the whole story from the other side, and I know I have half the story.
Mm-hmm. Truth.
Yeah.
And then there's these wonderful things called physical evidence that we usually review. Sometimes we actually look at what happened and look for the physical indicators. And there's lots. There's lots there if you know what you're looking for. And people are answering questions they don't realize they're answering when we're talking to them. Just because they said that it happened, and then we ask probing questions because we probably know the answer already, and that gets confirmed, but they don't realize that they're confirming it. Anyway,
the statement you make can be analyzed to find inconsistencies in it. We are usually never at the scene of a very serious or collision involving death, where a collision reconstruction team would come out and map the evidence and gather the evidence. They're pretty good at putting together what happened in the sequence of events without even being there during the time.
But I will tell you that I've had people get out of a car and claim that the driver was not the driver and the passenger was not the passenger. They were actually on opposing sides, even though I witnessed it with my dash camera off duty, and they told a story that was completely inconsistent.
And they got arrested for...
Oddly enough, they didn't get arrested because I was not investigating the collision. I was a witness to it. But the officer who attended did talk about laying charges.
I would.
Yeah.
Want to lie to me in my investigation? Absolutely.
Oh, I think the story changed and was...
Eventually got more truth-like?
Like when they showed them the video? I don't think it even got that far, but it was amazing. And they drove into a tree.
Must have been the tree's fault.
They didn't swerve to avoid the car. The tree, that is. Let's see here.
All right.
You got to go?
I'm done.
I'm done too. But I see here a Brian Max comment, who's on LinkedIn. Sergeant Shapiro, he just gave me a promotion.
Hey,
he likes doing that. I have to report that I didn't have any drivers attempt to run me over this morning for a change. Now I'm off to drive in a fast car. Brian Max is he is the co-host, and I think the last episode is this Saturday, of Dave's Corner Garage. They're unfortunately going off the air, which is sad, but I'm very proud to have been part of the show. And you were on an episode too.
I was.
The very first episode I ever went on. And
I didn't say anything, but I was there.
You didn't say anything?
Not a thing. Not a peep. Nope.
Oh, you said hello.
Yeah,
I'm sure you said hello.
Yes.
You said something. And he also drives fast cars. He's a race car driver. He is a principal in a race team. Oddly enough, I think I flashed this earlier. Let's see. Yeah, I think I was testing something out, and I put Phase Comp. That's the Twitter for his race car. And if you want to go read about cars because he reviews them, you can get him there. But an all-around good guy who likes to make jokes, except for the fact that he keeps running into people who are trying to kill him on the road.
Oh, that's
when he walks his dog. There's all sorts of people who do not stop in his neighborhood, and we talk about it at great length. What should I do if somebody borrowed a car and now won't return it? Should I report it as stolen? That does sound like a stolen vehicle to me.
Any person without color or right takes or converts anything animate or inanimate for the purpose of depriving the owner temporarily or outright is the definition of theft. So, is it theft? Yes. Take auto without owner's consent? Yeah, maybe. Absolutely.
I'd say call the police.
Give us a
Call the police. That's when we get to do stuff.
If somebody took your purse, wouldn't give it back to you? Is it theft?
If you loaned it to them and then they wouldn't return it afterwards?
Sure. Temporarily or outright.
I like it.
That's one of those things that sticks in my mind.
Oddly enough, I was very specific.
From police college.
It's amazing how things you repeat, ad nauseum to prepare for tests.
Yep.
If I have a car that backfires and pops really loud, what's the fines for that?
I'm looking at you for improper muffler, probably an emissions charge here or there.
Unnecessary noise.
And definitely unnecessary noise.
Darren Phillips says, yes, excessive noise.
Yeah. Not only the noise, though, but because maybe a regular police officer would just fine you for the offense of the noise. I would look further. Yeah. I would climb underneath your car. I'd see what kind of exhaust you got going on there. And you'd be getting charged for every single one of those. Your catalytic converter, if it's there, not there, if it's hooked up, if it's working, all those things.
Jeremy says, good morning from Muskoka. How is Muskoka doing today? I haven't been to Muskoka in a long time.
Muskoka's always happy.
Always happy?
Yeah, always.
What's the penalty for 10 over? I don't think it's very much, but it's still bad. It's like somewhere, but it's irrelevant that it's a low cost ticket. It still impacts your insurance.
Yeah.
or has the ability to impact your insurance. People say 10 over is no big deal, won't cause your insurance to go up. Not true. If you get a bunch of 10 over tickets, you're going to see an increase in your
You get any ticket.
Yeah. Even driving, if you forget your license. I didn't realize this. It's a non-moving violation. Member of the Insurance Bureau of Canada told me that a multitude of those will qualify as, it'll upgrade. Like 3 minors become a major, and you can still have an impact to your insurance, which is interesting. You said you got to go?
I do.
I believe you.
I think you have to as well.
I think that's very possible.
I think you need to
eat something.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is I have a call at 12.
All
so
right.
I can't eat something.
All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye then.
Okay.
You continue on.
I will continue for a very few minutes. It's just that I haven't been here for so long. I feel like I have to up the ante and go long. Yeah, that's the story. Now it's a whole plethora of questions coming in. A plethora? A plethora? I don't know. I think plethora is better. Can you do 120 on the 401? The answer is it's not legal. And can you be charged for doing 120 on the 401? Yes, you can. Glenn Jarvis was replying to something we've just recently had a whole pour of live stream comments. Now I can't keep up with them. Do you have to have a degree to work at higher level of police departments? It doesn't have to be, but obviously they're looking for people who have continued education. Ryan Slack, what's going on? I missed your comment. I just saw your name pop up. Okay. What's the requirements for driving on a quad on the side? Has to be a license that has to be insured. You have to be licensed. Has to be in a jurisdiction that allows it. By the way, welcome back to the Instagram. I'm in the middle of the screen again. Can I drive a family member's car in the USA with my G license? What about insurance coverage? So it's an American vehicle. That depends on them. You should be able to borrow a car there. But you cannot drive an American car in Canada with an Ontario license lent to you by them. So if they came to visit you, you couldn't drive their car. Oddly, that's a problem. Can Toronto Police issue tickets on the 401? Yes, we can. We're provincial officers. We're Toronto Police officers, but we have authority in the province of Ontario. So yes, we can. Whereas OPP actually call themselves provincial officers. Okay. Next question. This one's actually interesting. Why do we hand out so many tickets and not show up in court? What's the point? Well, we do show up in court unless we're required on the road. So if we happen to be sick or if there's a high priority event that we cannot clear, we can't just leave the scene of a collision, or if we get assigned to one, or if there's an investigation. My mouse came apart. What happened here? We can't just leave. So if we're required because we're short-staffed and we would normally be on duty and able to attend, now we can't. But we don't make a habit of not showing up. It seems to happen a lot because there's a lot of people and a lot of stuff happening, and we're short-staffed in a big way. So it happens, but not as frequently as people seem to think. What tends to happen, though, is people play games and they put things over again and again and again until the officer somehow magically is unable to show up. And that does happen when people play games, which I think makes, well, now we're getting into commentary and it's a different story, but it's not as you've suggested it. If the sign says coming soon and the camera is already functioning, is the ticket valid? I don't know. We don't deal with the automated enforcement stuff. You would think that it wouldn't, but I don't know. Okay. What happens if you drive a car that isn't insured under your name and there's an accident, a collision? Well, if you've borrowed the car, you're properly licensed, and your vehicle was, the vehicle is properly insured, just not in your name, then that's not a problem, unless the company that insures it determines that you are not eligible to drive it. Like if they said they weren't going to cover anyone under 25, or if you live with the owner but you're not on the policy, they could deny parts of the coverage, like replacing the car. Maybe they'll cover you for liability, but not for the rest. So it depends. Legally, you can drive any car as long as you're licensed and it's insured. But insurance companies have their own policies within, based on the what's it called? Agreements with their customers. Okay. I want to see something here. I want to see, because I've just, hello, testing again. Testing the connection with, Testing again. I have not seen my comment from Twitter. So maybe it didn't work this time. I don't know. Maybe I need to delete it and start again the connection. Maybe that's what I need to do. Kylan Tavera says, what's your tow authority for unpaid fines or medical suspended driving? We don't tow for unpaid fines or medical suspended. So that would be a situation where you need to get someone to drive the vehicle. But if the vehicle is blocking the road, we can call a tow truck. You'd be responsible for the tow. We wouldn't impound it. But we don't impound those vehicles. Again, unless it's somewhere in the middle of the road and you can't find someone to pick it up right now. What's this? Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Gonna scroll down quickly, try and catch some big ones, then we got to go. I love sitting here. It's fantastic. It's been making up for 2 weeks of not being here, but what is this? My husband is a special constable, but is thinking becoming PC. Would you recommend it? I was a special constable. I was a court officer for many years. I absolutely endorse going PC. Best thing I ever did. I love this job. I love this service. And if they are a member of this service or any other, the transition to police constable is a good move, I think. Now, it could change your lifestyle. The hours, if he's a court officer or working in a fixed shift schedule, it may or may not be good for your lifestyle. Depends on, you have a lot of conversations with cops that work in the service you're a member, find out what's best for you and make that decision together. But I absolutely endorse it. I think it's a great job. Ryan Slack's ex's mom was working the G20. Cool. Can Toronto police issue tickets on highways? Yes, we covered that. Do you get, what is this? Do you get anything off the ticket you do? Like, do I get commission? Oh, I wish that were the case, but no, we don't get any commission. If that were the case, I'd be driving a much fancier car. But no, there's no commission for ticketing. I do, however, get satisfaction, and I mean that because I'm working to make the road safer by changing driver behavior one ticket at a time, and that's the benefit I get from a ticket, nothing else. Do you give up more tickets if you don't? Oh, Dylan's getting frisky. Bill, is there or what is the fine for driving for a long period of time in the hammer left lane on the highway? Driving in the lane is not an issue. Driving unnecessarily slowly or impeding traffic is a problem. That could be a $110 ticket. Radek wants to know about carrying off duty. Depends what the policy is of the individual service. As a police officer, I'm a police officer 24/7. I'm never really off duty, but policy differs between services. So some services say no, some services say to and from court, to and from home, to and from training, depends on the policy. And there are officers authorized to carry all the time. Do you have any chance to have a knowledge of British Columbia, specifically about Vancouver? I do not. Rosie says, I'm visiting family in the USA. I'm a G-class driver. Can I drive the car without insurance? The car must be insured. Well, it depends on what their laws are, but I would not be suggesting you get into a car that is not insured. Even if the state, and some states may allow driving without insurance, which I think is insanity, because you would be personally liable for whatever you do when you're there. So if you drive a car that's not insured, and even if it's legal there, which I don't think it is anywhere in the States, but it's possible, if you caused a collision or were involved in a collision, how do you pay for anything? And healthcare is not free there either. Anyway, I would suggest not driving a car that isn't insured. And if it is insured but you're not on the policy, make sure with the policy that they would cover you. But legally, a G-class driver can drive any insured vehicle wherever their license is accepted, and it is accepted in the United States. When you are rear-ended on the highway, does OPP normally issue careless driving to the other driver? Depends. Depends on what the case determines. Like, yeah, person that hits the person in front, the rear ender, tends to be the person responsible, but depends on the collision investigation. Okay. Really? Fragile Goose wanted to know if we get a commission on our tickets, and then was shocked to find out that we don't, because they believe that those in Australia do. I'm not aware of that. But again, I mean that would mess things up, right? Because then it's potential that you're writing a ticket because you want commission, which is one of the reasons they got rid of private photo radar in Alberta. because the issue was it was a private company being contracted, and they were putting some radar locations in areas that were, where the speed limit changed, and it was believed to be just to make money, and who knows whether it was or wasn't. What is the killer saying here? Saw a car a couple days ago that strapped their trunk. The straps blocked 2 digits on their license plate. I assume that's an issue. Yes, it is. Okay. Bike rack. But trailers would block plate. I know trailer would have one, but different than car. But they're linked, or at least it's a way of tracking the vehicle. So yes, a trailer can block the plate of the vehicle because the trailer has a plate of its own. Interesting thing about license plates. I'll take this off the screen. In Florida, only rear plates, right? So I'm often asked, what's the big deal? Why do I need to have a front plate? It's bogus, it's baloney, it doesn't look nice. Well, one of the funkiest things that I've ever seen, and I lived in Florida for 5 years, I've never noticed the signs that say front in only when parking. You must always park nose in, because all of the folks in parking lots scanning for license plates for violators are driving around, and they have to be able to see your plate from the rear. So another reason why front plates just make sense. What we've got here. Questions about answering questions during a ride program. Depends what the question is. You have to identify yourself. Ryan says, you talk a lot about lawful commands, but how does a motorist know when a command is unlawful? What command are we talking about? Here's the suggestion. You do what you're told. That's the suggestion. And the reason I say that is because it would have to be pretty unreasonable for it to not be a lawful command. I'm not asking you to stand on your hands and walk and do backflips. I'm asking people to do things that they're as a result of a demand that's lawful. And if it turns out that it wasn't, you're going to be probably suing the service. If you refuse to do things and you were wrong about it being lawful or not lawful, you're probably going to get additional charges, and it's not going to look very good. And that's just me giving you my personal advice. I mean, how does one find out what's lawful? Ask questions. Watch our show, things like that. That's what we're here for. Oh, and I see here someone says, always contact the lawyer first. You don't always have the ability to speak to a lawyer. You can ask questions. You can ask to speak to a lawyer. In certain situations, you have that ability. If it's not practicable, like if I can't let you, if you don't have a phone and you want to call a lawyer, and it can get very complicated. Depends on what your situation is. A lot of people think they're going to get out of trouble by asking for lawyers. We're not talking about rocket science. This is not difficult stuff. Dawson says, are you answering questions on YouTube? Because I asked a few questions. I have not been able to keep up with the stream of questions, so I may have missed yours, but I am answering questions on all the platforms. Is it illegal? Oh, we talked about this one already. Do cops pull people over for 10 over? Sometimes. What's this? Sam, what's the question from Sam? Do cops actually? No. What are we talking about? I don't know what this one was. Anyway, moving on. During traffic stops, do passengers have to identify? Depends. If they're not being investigated for anything, but if they're not wearing their seatbelt or being investigated for anything criminal, then they would have to identify. But if they are not party to the investigation and they're not doing anything wrong, then no, they wouldn't have to. But it does depend. Some people believe that that's not the case, and they would be wrong. Only Canadian citizens can be police officers? That's a question from Mario. No, you can be a permanent resident or a citizen. Either are acceptable. Why did you become a cop? Stephen wants to know. I have always wanted to be a police officer since I was a little kid. I have a picture. Actually, I recently found a picture of of me wearing a helmet with a red flashing light on it. It was actually one of the earliest memories I have. But I watched Chips as a kid. I had family members who were police officers. I have always wanted to be a police officer. And I'm very blessed to have been able to fulfill that dream. And a motorcycle officer at that. All right. very quickly, I'm looking for one more question. Hey Coin wants to know. Okay, let's look at this. It's not the last question, but do you think it's ethical to drive 30 SUVs to work, but also complain about climate change? Who drives 30 SUVs to work? I can only drive one vehicle at a time. I also don't complain about climate change. So I don't understand what your statement is, but yeah. Hey, Michael, how's it going? I don't think I've seen any comments from you up until now. But I agree. 401 says, Sean Shapiro, you the man. Right now I'm melting. It is so hot in here. I have a fan that, but thank you very much, by the way. It is so hot in here. I need to go offline just to fan myself because I have a fan over there that I turned off just to, so I wouldn't have interference noisiness in here, but it's so warm. Let's see here. Do you think that squatted trucks should be illegal? Do you mean squatted, like the ones that have the rear suspension low and the front suspension high? They are illegal. It's not that they should be. Oh, should they stay illegal? Yes, they should stay illegal. They're absolutely not safe. Oh, you're looking at taking out pedestrians and hurting them because that's what happens. You scoop them up and chop them up. It's bad, bad, bad. Let's see here. Yellow. Hello, love you guys. Yellow light, then turned red. I decided to back up. Is that okay? You're in the intersection. It's a yellow light that turned red. You don't back up. You have to exit the intersection properly. Don't back up. That's bad. You could run into some real problems. Quickly scrolling. Sorry to ignore. By the way, back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time to do this all again. It's our Friday, and it's the last episode before Christmas. So we'll be doing some Christmassy themed stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. Maybe we'll have a jingle or something to play. I'm looking forward to that. Holiday season. It's awesome stuff. Does my cell phone need to be visible to outsiders when it's in a bracket? I don't understand your question. Like, do you have to mount it in such a way that it's visible? It has to be mounted, but you can't touch it when it's mounted, so. Okay. Michael says, I skipped a bunch on YouTube. Yes, I've absolutely skipped a bunch. It's been fast and furious, and we've gone for an hour and a half. Oh, no, we've gone for 2 hours. I got to go because I've got a meeting to jump into right now. It has been a pleasure to be back tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe, drive sober, and we'll see you tomorrow at 10.
Helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt save your life indeed, and watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
Toodaloo, everybody.